If you want to build new construction, you need subsidies, grants, tax credits. You need to be pulling probably all three of those levers and maybe even more, because if you don't get that, the math doesn't work. Does that sound like an investment that you really want to be going all in on to you?
No, it doesn't sound very safe.
No, it's not. Welcome to the Heartland Multifamily Show, the shorter, more profitable path to multifamily ownership and investing. Hey everybody, it's Darren and Isaiah. Hi, Isaiah.
How's it going, Darren?
It's going good, and I want to welcome you, to this episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place
For all things multifamily.
all things multifamily. And I'm looking forward to this discussion with you and what we're going to be sharing with you, because especially right now with everything going on out there, we have a large number of investors, looking at getting involved in, owning apartment communities either on their own, they're doing their own thing, they're getting involved with us or doing some other thing, other things out there. This is a question that we're getting a lot about, well, what kind of multifamily community should we be getting into? And it has to do with new construction. It is something that I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there and some things that you need to know about it. And so what I want to talk to you about is the 3 reasons why you should avoid investing in new construction multifamily. So let me set the frame for you. And then Isaiah, I got a question for you.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, I wrote a book called The 9-Month Investment. In that book, I named the top 5 or 6 apartment community or multifamily properties you should avoid investing in. And number 1 on the list, which surprises, again, a lot of people, is
New builds.
New construction. Okay. So that's something that we want to start out with. Let me ask you. So here's my question for you. What do you think one of those reasons would be on why I would recommend investors avoid new multifamily construction?
Cost.
It's pretty good. Nice job, man. Nice job. Cost. That's right. So let me set the stage for you with an example. I got approached a little bit over a year ago to buy a newly constructed apartment community, and that's here in eastern Iowa in the Heartland. This was offered to me at $250,000 a unit. This was offered to me at that price mainly because in order for the developer to be able to recoup their investment and walk away with a little bit of profit, a little bit. And this was a little bit over 150 units. Right now in the marketplace here, we could get a 20 to 25-year-old nice apartment community, good location, something you'd want to own for $100,000 a unit. The thing a lot of people don't do when they look at new construction in terms of investing in it is, how much is this going to be worth 5 years from now? Do I really think if I buy this for investor $250,000 a unit, is this really going to be a $500,000 per unit property 10, 12 years from now? What do you think the odds of that are?
Very low.
There's no effing way. There's no way that that's going to happen. And that's the danger of new construction, guys, especially for you if you're a new investor. This is new to you. You want to avoid that. That's way, way too much risk. Okay. So I was whining about this in our company meeting this morning, number 2. And what was I talking about?
Subsidies.
Subsidies. Look, guys, in almost every marketplace right now, if you want to build new construction, you need subsidies, grants, tax credits. You need to be pulling probably all 3 of those levers and maybe even more, because if you don't get that, the math doesn't work. Does that sound like an investment that you really want to be going all in on to you?
No, it doesn't sound very safe.
No, it's not. Guys, if you have to have all of these lists of prerequisites that you need and levers you need to pull from in order for the math to work, right away that should tell you, nah, I don't think so. I think I'm getting out of that. I can tell you dozens of examples of owners and developers and investors going all in on new construction at $10 million, $15 million, and $7, 10 years later, they're selling for $6 million, $8 million, or they're losing the property to the lender. Now, this doesn't happen in all occasions, but I've seen it enough to tell you that once those subsidies, those levers run out, guys, reality hits you hard financially. New construction is full of those kinds of surprises and those punches in the face. If in order for it to work, you've got to subsidize, tax credit, grants, it's all got to work out. No, that's definitely something that you don't want to have happen. Isaiah, we're talking about this morning too during our management meeting. What's a third thing, a third reason why investors should be avoiding new construction?
Budget.
Exactly, budget. And so when you develop a property, you have a budget set aside for what your costs are going to be. Everything from the materials, the building materials, what's going to cost to prepare the ground, the land that the property is going to be built on. There's a budget for all of it. Now, when I was sitting on the credit committee at a bank years ago, we'd look at these budgets, they'd come in, we'd check them out. And Isaiah, what do you think was rarely factored in to these budgets, especially when it came to new construction by these builders and developers and investors?
I want to say, I don't know the word for it, but outside things they can't control. That would come up along the way of building, however long it took, or something that could come in.
Going over budget, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So you're talking about things happening that you're not expecting and going over budget. I mean, here's the bottom line. Rarely does any kind of business plan look bad on paper. It always looks great. Here's what you find out. Everything goes over budget. Everything costs more than you think it's going to cost. And it happens every time. Nothing, I'm telling you, nothing, especially with new construction, comes in on budget. It always goes over budget, and it doesn't work out that way most of the time. I want to tell you a really, really quick story. Some friends of ours decided they're going to develop a 160-unit apartment community, new construction. So they get everything put together, lenders, financing, everything's put together. They start construction at this location. What happens during the construction that they didn't factor in was they ran into some huge cost overruns when it came to the land preparation. They ran into a lot more bedrock. So they kept on having to go back to the bank and borrowing more money because of these cost overruns. And by the way, because that's delayed in the land prep, now their building materials went up. This cost went up, that cost went up. You probably see where I'm going with this. At the end of the day, they ended up losing all of it to the lenders because of their massive cost overruns with their new construction property. Okay, now, we've talked about three things, right? I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about kind of a subsect of people where new construction is good for. That I think people that do this, in my opinion, it makes sense. And here it is. If you are a investor, builder, developer that is a long-term vision person, thinking long-term down the road, this is a property going to build and we're going to hold for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. And here's everything we're going to do as we go through the process. New construction now makes a lot more sense to me. Okay, a lot more sense. If that's the case, you've got that long-term vision on where you're going with the property, what the plans are, and that's not to say it might change here and there over the years, but it's as a long-term game for you. But if you're an investor, owner, developer that's looking for, I might want to maybe do this 5 years, maybe 10 years, I'd like to, if that's the game that you're playing here, guys, you gotta avoid new construction, okay? And we've given you the three main reasons on why you need to do it. And those reasons come from, again, real world experience, dealing with this and dealing with investors like you that have been involved in new construction properties. Okay, so Isaiah, I want to thank you. And I want to thank you for joining us on this episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show. The 3 reasons why you want to avoid new construction episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show. The place
For all things multifamily.
for all things multifamily. Guys, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. If you want to get your hands on more great multifamily real estate content, make sure you click here. If you want to invest passively in great multifamily real estate, make sure you click here.